What's up again? Hey, it's your Bishop, and today we are talking about dentures. I got a comment a while back from one of my previous videos, and guys, I read every comment. Sometimes it takes me a day, sometimes a week. I wish I could respond to every comment, but you know, it honestly feels like my life has like a little countdown clock, little timer, and it's slowly ticking down. And one of these days, it's just going to get to all zeros, and I try to bang out as many videos as I can. I share my story, I share my life, and it's not easy, you know. You juggle everything at the same time, always. So if you want a response from me, if you have a direct question, give me an email, okay? My email is right down there. So where was I? This email, yeah. From this guy named Andrew. Let's see. Man, your experience is so similar to mine, it's crazy. I remember that regret and the same divided consciousness. After 3 sets of dentures, I finally, on my 4th, I got a set that I can actually wear. The 3 I'd had previously were just awful and didn't fit, but I didn't know it because, well, how would I know? Especially when all the dentists, out of laziness or just covering their asses, just kept telling me that what I was experiencing with sore spots was normal. And man, Andrew, I can't thank you enough for this comment. I can't thank you. Thank you so much, brother. So I'm not profitable. I'm not profiting off of my comments. I don't need the views. I don't need the logarithm. I sort of started out on this journey as a way of self-therapy so that I could learn about myself, learn about what was happening with my dentures, and help some others learn. So guys, I'm not monetized. I don't know if I ever will be someday, but that's not the important part. The important part is, like Andrew, sometimes this is a lot of trial and error. So if I can save some of you, some of the errors, I'll tell you about my trials. Okay. The timeline. So it was November of 2021, I had the full extraction, my old teeth, my wisdom teeth, everything removed, and that's pretty much the beginning of my story. It was February of 22, about 3 months later, when I got my first set of dentures, and they did not fit right. I couldn't get the uppers to work at all. I just couldn't wear them, and these were the expensive ones. I spent a lot of money on my first set of dentures. Mistake number 1, do not spend a bunch of money on your first set of dentures. November of 2022, I went to a whole different company. This had been about a year later, and I got some cheap dentures. I said, here, like just give me the cheap versions. And they still didn't really work. The uppers were still kind of uncomfortable. I couldn't get them to fit. I think that's mostly because of these curls that I've described and talked about. So it was only after I went and got my Dremel New Year's Eve of 2023, and I took my Dremel and I started to chop down, shave down, whatever you want to call it. I tweaked them, and they worked. In August of 23, I had a thing happen where my bottom denture broke. I was putting my dentures in my case and I broke my bottom denture. It just cracked right in half. I went back to the same company. I said, hey, I need some new bottom dentures. And they said, well, what happened? And I said, well, I broke my bottom dentures. And they said, well, do you still have the bottom dentures? And I said, yeah. I said, I've got this denture fit stuff in there. And guys, I don't know why, it's sort of frowned upon. The denture makers, they don't really like to see you using your denture fit stuff. They don't really understand it. It might simply be because if you can do a soft reline at home, then you don't need your denture maker to do it for you, which means you don't have to go back to them, you don't have to give them more money. So they sort of frown on this, but they can't do much about it because, you know, it's your dentures, and if you choose to tweak them or do things to them, well, so I hand the 2 pieces that are still dangling together because they've still got my denture fit stuff holding them. And the assistant lady, she walks away for a little while. So I sit there being real patient. One of the kids in the back in the lab, he scrapes all the denture fit stuff off, and he puts some glue in between the two pieces of my bottom denture. So when my assistant lady returns with my bottom denture, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys fixed my denture. I don't have to spend all this money on new ones, right? She says, well, no. So here's what happens. We put this super glue stuff on your bottom denture to hold it together temporarily. And this glue that we use is not safe for consumption, which means you can't wear these, Bishop. I need to make new dentures for you. Okay. I got all excited there for a minute. So guys, I gotta do a couple new vocabulary words, okay? So disclaimer, this is just me trying to make sense of what I'm experiencing. I don't know the proper terms, if there are proper terminology, and I will try my best to explain. I'll show some pictures. So number one new vocabulary word, there's something called a tray. And basically a tray is this little metal thing. Sometimes they're plastic. There might be other materials, but basically the tray is the stuff that they put the impression material into. Then it goes in your mouth. And second vocabulary word is the impression material. I'm going to call it the pink gunk, okay? I've tried some other words. I don't know. Pink gunk, right? It is basically the impression material. And when I try to Google denture impression material, the big bad internet says it's called alginate or polyvinyl silicane or polyethers or polysulfide. And I can't really abbreviate it into poly because that word's been taken. So we're going to go with pink gunk, okay? So these trays, they come in different sizes. There's like large, medium, small. There's even a set of trays for kids and kids' sizes. And basically, the pink gunk goes into your tray and then it gets crammed into your mouth. And after a couple of minutes, the pink gunk will harden. I tried to look up a photo of a tray with the pink gunk ready to go, but nobody takes a picture of this stuff, guys. It's a quickness thing. So as soon as they squeeze this stuff into your tray, it's got to go into your mouth because it starts to harden. So nobody says before they put it in your mouth, hold on, let's take a picture. This is going to be good for Bishop someday when he's doing this video. They just don't. So maybe you've experienced this, okay? The tray with the pink gunk, and they do one for the uppers, and then they go and they refill a bottom tray, totally different for the bottoms. Now, when my broken bottom denture was glued together, the assistant, she used that as my tray. And I thought, well, that's a little weird, huh? I mean, no big deal. It operates the same way. Gunk goes in my bottom denture, puts it in the bottom, holds it there for a couple minutes, and then presto, you're good. Thank you very much. When I got that new bottom denture, it was very similar to the one that was broken. Very similar in size. I don't know, it's hard to describe. The length might have been a little longer, or I don't know. For all purposes, it was very similar, almost exact to what I had given them. And I said my thanks and I went out the door and I didn't think too much about it, but I made like a little note to myself. And I said, Bishop, someday you might need this little nugget, this nugget of knowledge. So I don't know, I was happy for a while. I was working with the denture fit stuff. I had my uppers working, my bottoms working, but then about a month ago, I get this comment from Andrew. And I'm like, whoa, his fourth set. Andrew? So my little mind starts thinking, Bishop, did you get lucky? Because this was my second set. Number 2. What if my third set would be even more comfortable? Or what if I would like my third set better? Or what if I took everything I knew, all the knowledge that I had gained, and I went and got some new dentures? So I made an appointment. I went back to the same company that I'd been at, and this time when they asked me if I still had my old dentures, I said no. Oh, well, what happened? I said, well, my ex-girlfriend took my old dentures. I think she wanted something to remember me by. So my assistant lady, she kind of chuckles and she says, ha ha ha, that's funny stuff, yeah. Guys, save your old dentures, okay? This is again, I'm not a professional. This is me just sharing my story, but you want to keep your old dentures because a number of reasons. Let's say you have an accident and something breaks. Well, now you've got a spare tire, right? Go and grab them from your old case, pop them in, easy peasy. Or maybe you're trying to work with your Dremel and you want to practice a little bit. So you've got these old dentures laying around. Hey, let's take a little bzzz and let's see what happens here. You know, take your old dentures and hang them up on the wall over the mantle of your fireplace so that you can use them as trophies, so that you can say, look how far I've come. Okay? I was sitting there in my chair. We had talked about pricing and the time frame and all this stuff, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a young, short, black female girl who's carrying a tray of pink gunk, and she comes from around the corner, sneak attack, and bam, crams them right in my mouth and starts pushing. And guys, I'm a storyteller. I am in no way a racist. When I give a description of somebody and I say that she is a young, short, black female, that's how I saw her, right? And please do not blow up my comment section with, Bishop, you're a racist. I was a public bus driver. I saw a lot of bad white people, really bad white people. Maybe I'll do some stories on that. But guys, I've had black girlfriends, I've had Jamaican girlfriends, Asian girlfriends, Latina girlfriends. I like to learn Spanish. I have a friend in Ecuador and I chat with her almost every day. So I think at one time my best friend was a black guy and I had a roommate who was a different black guy. We lived together. I loved that guy. I still love that guy. So I think my issue was not with, I don't care about color or where you're born or how you speak. I don't care about any of that. My issue with this girl was that she was young and maybe she was just in a hurry because bam, she stuck the tray in my mouth and she started pushing up. I don't know. It was really uncomfortable because she's pushing up, and my head's going way back, way back, way back. And once this stuff is in your mouth, guys, you just can't talk. You can't go, you go, oh! That's the best you got, right? Oh! So she says, look down, sir. Please look down. And I just can't because like these muscles right here, how many times do you practice looking down while your head is being pushed up? Like, is there any exercise at the gym where this is done, where they restrict your head or they pull it back and you've got to push down so that you can build those little muscles in the back of your neck? It just doesn't. If you know of these exercises, let me know because honestly, I want to build that neck muscle. I don't know. After a minute or so, she pulls this tray out and she kind of looks at it and under her breath, she goes, huh, too far back. And I could tell that she had pushed it too far back, not so much up, but back towards the back of my throat. I could feel the metal from the tray cutting into my gums, and it was super painful. It was super uncomfortable, and I was like, wow, this is, no. No, no, no. Like if you're gonna put something in a person's mouth like this, there better be some communication. You know, let's be a team, okay? So she came back a minute later, same process, from around the corner, bam, right in my mouth. I didn't even have time to stop her, right? This time though, as she's holding it, I grabbed her little wrist with one hand, and with my other hand, I put my thumb into the tray to sort of guide it. And she gave out a little yelp, and you know, it's kind of scary, right? I looked into her eyes and I was calm. I wasn't angry. I wasn't attacking. My breathing was calm. It was slow. We were a team, and I communicated that with my eyes in that moment because I I wasn't angry at her. I wasn't upset. I understood that she was doing a job and maybe she crams this stuff in 30 different people's mouths all day long. And I was just number 20, you know? So as a team, we made this impression work. We pulled it out. She wiggled it a little bit and then she looked at it and she was like, okay. When she came back with my lowers to do my bottoms, I didn't have to put my hands on her and she just put it in there. Guys, our jaw muscles, you know, when we move our bottom jaw upward, a lot stronger than our neck muscles because we use our jaw muscles all the time. So you will find, you know, making the bottom impression is a lot easier. Upper impressions, sometimes this gunk will go too far back and you'll feel like you're gagging because it will hit your gag reflex, right? So impressions done. Okay, my assistant lady comes back in the room and she starts talking about how this is going to take a couple weeks. And I was like, what do you mean? Like last time, you know, it was next day ready. I came in, I picked them up. Oh, sir, well, this was before the pandemic. And then she looks at my screen and she sees that I've actually been there a couple times since the pandemic. And then she sort of stumbles and she says, well, we're going to do a wax try-on. Because you got the Economy Plus, this is not the very basic bottom of the barrel. This is the little plus. And you're going to come back in a couple weeks for a wax try-on. I kind of remember doing the wax try-on with my very first set of dentures, but wow, does that feel like a long time ago. So I wait the couple weeks. I was fine with it. You know what? I went back out into my vehicle. I grabbed my old dentures. I popped them in my mouth and I'm good. So I go back in a couple weeks and I sit in the chair and they hand me something made of wax, I guess. I don't understand why it takes 2 weeks to make wax when it only took a day to make acrylic, but who am I? You know, what do I know? So I put my uppers in and wow, they just feel really big, really different. I don't know, it was just a really different. The doc looks at me and he says, he can see the discomfort. And he says, no, that's okay, Bishop. This is just the wax. When we get the acrylic, then we can start to tweak it and it will feel better. Okay, then doc, why are we doing this again? He says, well, we've got to make sure that they line up, like the center of your face. So when we make these wax impressions, they put a little mark. They draw a line from the center of your forehead, down your nose, and right to the center of your lips, because that's where the computer knows to put the front two teeth. It's kind of weird because at no time does anybody ever come up to you with a ruler and some calipers and they put them on your face and they say, wow, your teeth look a little bit too far to the left or a little bit, you know, too much to the right. It just never happens. So this was just a weird hoop to jump through. Both the assistant and the doc, they asked me a couple times, do these look okay? They'll hand you a little hand mirror and you look at them and you go, I guess. I mean, that's okay. They still feel funky. Can we take them out now? So once you agree, then it's another 2 weeks before you get the actual acrylics. And I waited my 2 weeks. I said, okay. You know, same process, same old. I went and I sat down and here you go, Bishop. Here's your actual acrylic dentures. So it's kind of weird because I think it was a bigger tray and not having my first dentures available to study. I don't know. I don't really understand what happened here, but what I received was incredibly different, okay? I don't know if the new guy at the lab didn't use my old dentures as a reference. I don't know if they consider that. I think just like any other job, he put my impressions in there, he put my wax things in there, he pushed all the buttons and bing, here it comes. Well, here is my third set of dentures, okay? In case you're wondering, my first set, my second set, which are in my mouth right now, and my third set. So when I got these, this is my uppers. I tried putting them on, and wow. I'm going to show you in a second, but yeah. Yes, they had the curls again. Yes, they were uncomfortable, but they went really far back as back of my throat. So I'm going to show you mine, and I'm going to show you these ones. And it's going to be a little hard to see because of my camera. I will probably take some pictures, but here we go. Yeah, same thing with my new bottom dentures. Look at how long these are. Look at how deep they go. These are really, really long compared to my second set. This is a little tricky. So I put them together, I try to match them up, and yeah, I will show you some pictures. My point is, that's the denture fit stuff, by the way, guys. It is awesome. You can take your dentures in and out. You can slip them in and out. They are perfect. No adhesive. The point I was trying to make is that I received something very different. Same company, you know, same doctor, pretty much the same process. The only thing I did a little different was that I did the Economy Plus instead of the Super Economy. I thought maybe that would, you know, be different. Maybe my bottom denture wouldn't break. Anyway, yeah, I received much more denture, more acrylic. Now, at Bishop, is more acrylic good? I don't really know. I kind of look back to an analogy I used a while back. There was this guy once upon a time, his name was Michelangelo, and he wanted to make a statue of this thing named David, right? This guy. And so Michelangelo, he started with a big block of marble, big, huge chunk. Over time, he slowly removed all the things that were not the David. And in the end, he had his David. Yeah. So having more acrylic, I don't really know. But I do know that I can take my Dremel and I can shave it down. I can remove all the parts that aren't Bishop's denture. And in the end, I don't know, maybe I will have something that works better. Maybe I will have something that feels better, you know? Okay, so the doc comes along and he says, how do they fit? How are your new dentures, Bishop? And I said, you know, they're fine. They're okay. They're great. And I am the kind of guy that when I get my new dentures, I want to go and do my own, my tweaking, my adjustments. I'm going to do those myself at home in my own time because you have every right. Okay, this is included in the price tag. You are able to sit there in that chair and say, Doc, this part doesn't feel good. Can you take away my curly parts? Can you do this? Can you do that? And the doc will take your dentures and he'll go in a different room and he will take his Dremel and he'll go zzz, and he'll rinse them off and he'll bring them back to you and you stick them back in your mouth and he'll say, so how's that? And you can say again, I don't know, that's still a little weird. Can you do a little more here? And doc will look at where you're pointing and he will take his Dremel and he'll do the same process and then he'll stick them back in your mouth and you can say, yeah, I don't know, it still feels a little weird. And then the doc will do the same thing, and he'll repeat this thing. So for me, I know what I like. We know what we like because this is a lot like trying on a shoe. When you go to the shoe store and the shoe salesman says, well, how does it fit? He doesn't really know how it fits. He doesn't even know, guys, they don't even know how dentures feel to us. They really don't. We know how they feel, okay? So for me, it's just an uncomfortable, awkward situation where I've got to say, oh, I don't really know how they feel. Can you fix them? And the doc goes, well, I don't know how they feel either. How am I supposed to fix them? So for me to be able to do this at home in my own time with my own sink, as much or as little as I want, you know, like I know how it feels. I've learned. And I have this super amazingly awesome stuff called Denture Fit. so that if I do accidentally take away a little too much, I can fix it, right? So I also don't like the look that the doc gives me when it's like the 7th time. It's like the 7th time, Bishop, you've said this. The doc's like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with this dude? I don't know. So that's up to you. But if you get a whole bunch of acrylics because you used a big tray, that might be cool, right? Take it home. I've got my Denture Fit stuff here, and I've got my Dremel. So I'm gonna start tweaking my 3rd set, and maybe I'll make another video. I'll show you what happened with it. Tell you if I liked them or not, or if I made a mistake or not. So a couple things. When they go to make your impressions, you can communicate with them. You can say, hey, is there any way you can cradle my head? My first lady, oh my gosh, she grabbed my whole head and she held it in my mouth and she braced the back of my head against her hip so that I wasn't getting my neck pushed backwards, you know? I thought this was awesome. Looking back, you know, I'm a pretty scary looking white guy, especially when I don't have my teeth in my mouth. So did this young little black girl not want to cradle my head? Okay, fair enough. But this is a communication thing, okay? You can say, hey, by the way, I've had some problems where people push my neck way up, trying to do my upper dentures. Can you hold the back of my head? Or can I put the back of my head, you know, up against the chair or something, right? Because it is very uncomfortable. But one of the other things that happened that made me a little weird was that when I first started looking at buying another set of dentures, I went to my company's webpage and I started looking for pricing. And it was hard to find. When I did finally get to the pricing part, it said, come see us for options. And I guess, okay. So sitting there in the little, you know, the room, there was like a little poster board on the side, and somebody had printed out some different options. I think there was 5 or 6 in columns, and off on the side there was little blank lines, and somebody had taken like a marker and almost wrote on it like a whiteboard by hand numbers. And they were really weird numbers, you know, 928, 1214, all the way up to like 3700. I don't know. I looked at that and I thought, wow. And I told my my assistant lady, I said, hey, I don't think I can afford anything but the cheapest ones. She says, oh, well, how much do you have? I said, well, I don't know. I think I just need the economy, right? The economy ones again. They were about 600. She says, well, again, how much do you have? What can you work with? And I said, well, I've only got about 900. Oh, well, let me see if that'll work. I can go ask the boss. Maybe we can take this Economy Plus and lower it by, you know, the Economy Plus, the handwritten line, it said like 1200. Maybe I can save you $300. Oh, okay. But before she left, she turned right to me and she says, are you able to pay the 900 right now today? And I said, well, yeah, you know, yeah. Okay, I'll be right back. So later she came back and she said, oh yeah, we can do the 900 Economy Plus. And she made it seem like I was getting a deal, and I should have been like, oh yay, thank you so much, you guys are awesome. But what honestly happened was I kind of felt like, well, wait a minute, this is kind of shady, you know? Like, I don't know. Between that and the new girl that did my impressions, I don't think I'll go back to this company. I think I'm going to go try again with my next company, a new company, you know what I mean? 4th time's the charm, like Andrew said. Okay, so let's get to some Q&A, you know. Thanks for listening to my story. I do get a lot of questions. Question number 1, why didn't I do the implants? So when I first started looking, guys, I was told that the dentures would cost about $4,000 and the implants were about $25,000. So I was like, oh wow, $25,000 for implants? That's almost a new car. I mean, not anymore today, but that's a used car, right? $25,000 is almost a house payment if you want to live in the ghetto. So I said, you know what, I'll start with Dentures, I'll see what happens. And for $4,000, it was still too much. I don't know. Second question number 2. Did I have any infections or bone loss before or after surgery? I don't know, guys. I had a lot of issues. The Mountain Dew just wrecked my teeth. I was a kid. I didn't care. I did not treat my teeth well. So for me, I was pretty used to having constant mouth pain. It was constant all the time. This part would hurt, this side would hurt, tops would hurt, bottoms would hurt. Did I have infections? Yes, probably. I just dealt with it, you know. Humans are pretty resilient when we want to be. So I just endured, you know. Bone loss, I think so. My bottom denture is very thin where the gums are. Not sure how well you can see this. This is my newest impression, but yeah, if you look right here at the center, it's very skinny. And I don't know what yours looks like. I don't know what healthy gums look like. I just know from my own experience that, yeah. By far the biggest comment I get is, I feel so lonely. And this one, I can relate. I can totally relate. Guys, it's not an easy path. And it doesn't really matter. In today's society, it doesn't matter if you have teeth or if you don't have teeth or if you're uncomfortable with your dentures. We are all pretty lonely. So I don't know how to fix it. All I can tell you is that I love chatting with each and every one of you. I love to hear your stories. I think we should all be sharing our stories. And if you want to email me, I will chat with you, okay? I'm lonely too. I reach out to people. People reach out to me. We actually have this weird community, and there are Facebook groups for people with dentures. I was in one for a little bit. When I started to talk about the denture fit stuff and how awesome this stuff was, then I was kicked out of my Facebook community because they saw me as trying to promote a product. I wasn't promoting any product. I wasn't. I was just trying to help people. So I understood. I said, okay. But yes, Facebook, Dentures. If you look them up, there's a club or a group or whatever you want to call it. So, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate your stories. You are not alone, okay? I'm sending a big hug. You got this. And if you have questions, Bishop's here. Have a good one.